Hi, my name's Anna Salter, and I run cross country and track. Growing up, I was always a swimmer, so I have been swimming since I was 3 years old. And then in high school, I decided to start cross country just because I was joining a new high school, so I wanted to make friends. And then 2 weeks in, I decided that I wanted to run instead of swim. I think definitely the team, especially my freshman year, we had such a close team. And even though running's considered an individual sport, I think it really is a team sport, especially in cross country. And we just had such a close bond, and it really inspired us to train together every day. Yeah, I think that since running is just a sport that you need so much time commitment to every single day, as you build up fitness, I think it really shaped having a lot of discipline and committing to something every single day. So that definitely has helped me in other areas of my life too. Yeah, it definitely did change a lot because my freshman year, I kind of got really, really focused on running, and I think a bit too much, where I was a little bit too obsessed with it. And I think that kind of took some of the joy out of it because I was just a little too focused on running a certain time. And that definitely kind of bled into my sophomore year. And that definitely made racing a lot more harder and less enjoyable. So I think my junior year, I kind of had a better job of enjoying it more and not taking it as seriously, but it actually ended up improving a lot of my results. Yeah, I think there's so much comparison in running just because, you can just compare your time to someone else. And so also you can, compare another person's training to yours, and you never feel like you're doing enough, or you should be doing something else. So, especially I think just focusing on what you're doing and knowing that everyone's path to like a great race is different. Like there's not one certain way to train. So I think that has helped me a lot. I think just like the everyday like practice is just so much fun. So even though it can be frustrating sometimes, like having a bad workout or race, like I really enjoy coming to practice every single day, and I just have such a big love for it. So it's never really like faded too much for me. Yeah, I think that there's definitely a lot of sacrifices, especially in high school, like balancing your social life and, taking a sport really seriously. So just in terms of like, getting enough sleep, eating right, like there's definitely like certain sacrifices you have to make, but I definitely enjoy making all of them. But I do think like you can definitely balance it all for sure. Yeah, I think especially like my freshman and sophomore year, I kind of felt like running kind of like gave me a lot of confidence, and I feel like it was like a part of my identity. But I think I definitely transitioned out of that. And I think that's a lot healthier for me to also, know that running's not my whole identity or personality. I mean, honestly, all of it has really shaped me just because I feel like I've had so many different phases in it. But I think definitely my junior year shaped me a lot because it was a pretty hard year for me, just dealing with some injuries and also, just like having a lot of bad races at the same time as the recruiting process was going on. So, going through that like mentally was really hard, and, getting better at like a pre race mentality, I guess. Yeah, I think that like my freshman year like was when like in my track season was the first time I experienced like any taste of success. And like since then it was super, I think, addicting and really inspiring to like work hard chasing like faster times. But I think that overall like being successful for me has been the most, I guess, enjoyable when it's like coming more from a place of just running for myself and not comparing myself to anyone else. Yeah, I think they definitely are super different. So, like in cross country, you're obviously running 5 kilometers in high school, like not on a flat surface. It's very hilly, it's on dirt, and it's also a team sport because basically in cross country, the five person team makes up points. So, if you get first place, that's 1 point. If you get third, it's three. And so you compile the points together, and the lowest point team wins. And then, so in track, it's much more individual. So it's kind of like you're just running your own race and there's multiple events. And I think I definitely do prefer track just because I think I've like found a bit more success in it as I run like the mile as my main event. But I think cross country as like a team, it's super fun and definitely different, especially in the training. But I really do enjoy both for sure. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like it's like one of the most classic race distances. I feel like the mile is like almost everyone knows about it, like whether it's from PE or from something else. But um, I mean, I think like my freshman year, I ran a really good mile race at our league finals, and like ever since then, I really loved the mile. And I think it's just the perfect distance. You get to have like a bit more of like a distance runner's training, but then it's also still super exciting, and definitely very tactical still. Yeah, there's definitely so many. I think every season comes with a lot of races that teach me a lot of lessons, but I think that like one in particular was like my junior year CCS finals because that year like I just completely had like panic attack before my 1600 because it's the race that qualifies you for state, and it was a really big low for me because I kind of just started crying and sobbing before, and like I really did not want to show up to the race, but I ended up still racing with a little bit of like a push from my coaches, and I ended up qualifying for state, but it was definitely like a big like rock bottom for me that like taught me that I need to really like work on my, I guess, like sports psychology and like learning to love racing again. Yeah, I think it's something that I'm definitely still even dealing with sometimes, but I think, realizing how really it's not that serious, like the world's not going to end if you have a bad race, and also just remembering how much fun racing is and how, it's all more about the process and how I have worked really hard leading up to races, so it should be something that I should feel prepared and ready for. Yeah, I think that definitely identity wise, like I don't think of myself as just a runner anymore, which I think has helped a lot in racing because it's not like a race will make or break who I am. And then I also think that racing has become a lot more enjoyable for me and a lot more fun. So I think that has definitely changed, whether like it's not really that much of a stressful thing anymore, but something I really do look forward to now. Yeah, it's so important. I think the people you surround yourself is probably the most important thing, and I'm so lucky to have teammates that are really motivated and dedicated to the sport, and I think it would be really hard to train in an environment where people didn't really care, and seeing other people put in extra work, extra miles definitely inspires me to do the same, and so it's a great environment to be in. Yeah, I think that leadership has been a big part of my Crystal running experience just because our freshman year class was super big and we didn't have that many upperclassmen. So kind of in sophomore year is when like we already had to take on a leadership role, and that has been really great. I think, learning to host lots of team bondings and, you know, give other teammates rides and also just, be a leader, like leading the team huddle before races, like telling people what warm-ups to do and also carrying on team traditions has been really fundamental to our team culture, especially in cross country. So I think that has been honestly really great to be able to take a leadership role just to hold all of ourselves more accountable. I think that being pushed by my coaches has been really great. They're very, very dedicated to the sport, which has been really great. And I think that we're kind of in an environment where we all honestly, I think, ask for more, and our coaches actually have to like push us back a little bit because we all really, really want to be our best versions of ourselves. And that has been, I think, really great because it's always a lot harder to push people to do more than to push them to do less. So I think that has been really great because we're all ready to take on more work. Yeah, I think that it has taught me like how much like days stacked up on top of each other really do add up. Um, there has been countless runs that have just felt so terrible, whether it's like over the summer or winter off seasons, and just stacking up all of those terrible days really does lead to fitness and it leads to success. So I think just, one quote that my coach told us that really gets me through um, hard days is like the only way out is through. And so I always remember that when it comes to doing harder things. Yeah, I think that I wanted to run in college like before I even ran any times that would be able to get recruited for. So I think that, early on freshman year, I really wanted to run in college, but just because I loved it so much and I knew I wanted to do it for 4 more years after high school, definitely. Yeah, I think the recruiting process was definitely really hard. Junior year is kind of like the thick of it, just taking on lots of calls with coaches and also at the same time having the pressure to run fast times. I already ran like some recruitable times my sophomore year, so that felt like a relief in some ways. But as I said before, my junior year was pretty rough with injuries and I didn't really run many PRs at all. And so with that, I think the recruiting process was really hard as I, started to get dropped by some coaches, and realizing that some of my dream schools weren't going to be an option anymore. but I do think that everything, works out the way it's supposed to be. So I'm really grateful that I still went on a Columbia visit and got to see what the team's like because I am really excited for it now and I can't wait to be a part of a growing team because I think that they're definitely getting some great recruits and growing their program a lot. Yeah, I think I feel really lucky to also be at a school that has a lot of hard workers too. And like my closest friends are the hardest workers I know as well, even though it may not be in sports. They're all super disciplined and motivated to do like their best in their different areas. And so like having them has really helped me just be able to balance everything because we're all working really hard. And I think definitely just time management, obviously, is super important and not getting too distracted with other things is the most important thing. Yeah, definitely. I mean, running is like such a painful and hard sport sometimes, so I think that it's definitely built up my like tolerance for harder things and it's definitely been super helpful in terms of handling any challenges that come my way for sure. Yeah, I think that running has really shaped me in a way that it really helped me discover my passion. I think it's the most passionate thing I have in my life. And so having that is something that I'll definitely carry throughout my life because I know running's not going to be over for me after college or years after that. I know it's going to be something with me my entire life and other things that I do as well. So that's definitely shaped me. And also, just all the people that I meet along the way are like my best friends. And the running community has been really incredible. So I'm really excited to only like continue to be a part of that community.